2001, our two sons were walking down the road and they came across a gang of boys and girls. One of the boys punched our youngest son in the face for no reason, broke his nose. Philip did this and somehow put his nose back and collapsed on the floor, and two boys started stamping on his head. Chris went to save his brother. Two boys backed him onto a main road, another one got behind him, got him on the floor, they stamped on his head, kicked him in the face, left him in the road. A car came over a hill and she said, of course, she thought it was a bundle of rags. She ran over him, his belt cord and his horsepipe, and she dragged him 40 metres down the road. Because of this action, Christopher died that night. But it wasn't the car that killed him, it was a kicking, because they had to remove his brain and we had to wait 16 weeks to bury him. This was the action of just drugs and drinking, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and you go from disbelief to anger to rage to saying they're animals, and you go down that path and it begins to eat you alive, the rage. And for me, it took me a long time to get over that, to get through that. And when we went to court a year later, we found 3 young boys, 15, 16 and 18, up on a murder charge in the Old Bailey. And they laughed initially at the beginning. Whether or not it was nerves, I don't know. But as it began to unfold their story, it became apparent that they were high on crack cocaine and drinking. All 14 of them really should have been on a charge of something, but then 11 years ago, that didn't happen.
They were charged with murders, but I said put in prison. Then in 2003, I got a phone call from a local church saying one of the boys would like to meet us. And so we arranged a meeting with his wife, didn't we? And we got in touch with probation. And we're not having a knock at probation today, don't worry. We love you really, so don't take it wrong.
We love you really.
Yeah. Probation walked into our house, and I think we were the first murder victims to want restorative justice then, back then. And they didn't have a clue. They treated us as if we were offenders. I always say they walked in our house like Nazis. They took over our house. Ray, you go upstairs while I talk to Vi. Vi, you go upstairs while I talk to Ray. I don't know how they treated the boy, but they treated him like they treated us. And I can understand why he didn't want to meet us. She didn't come and tell us he didn't want to meet us, she phoned us. She couldn't be bothered to come to our door. Then a couple of years later, she rang us again to say, one of the boys is on day release. And I said, do you know what today is? It's Christopher's anniversary. And you're telling me this? I said, you're the most unprofessional woman I've ever met. And from that day to this day, well not this day, from that day on, probation was a swear word in our house. We had no more to do with them. All contact was lost. Then we started doing a thing called restorative victim awareness in prisons with Sycamore Tree. And in 2010 we met a lady called Sean West from Why Me, and she said, what's stopping you meeting the boys? So we told her what happened. She said, I can sort that out for you.
I said, I'm not so sure I want to do that again.
So
she said, we'll have a go.
She put us in touch with Calm, the charity called Calm. And the first thing they said when they came into our house was, what can we do for you?
Yeah.
And he sat there, and when they said the word calm, that's what it was calm.
What do you need?
Yeah.
What's your needs? What do you want from this? And we said, we want to know the truth, you see, because in court, all lies were told. We want to know the truth from them. We need to hear that, and we want to tell them how we feel. We didn't get that chance in court because an impact letter wasn't read out in court. So we never had a voice. We want to do that. And she said, that's doable.
I've got to tell you, the people that did set up Calm wasn't just Why Me. They got involved with London probation. And they got us through.
Good on you.
Yeah. So it was, it's a good relationship now. So, July 2011, we met the first boy who was 15 at the time, he's now 25. He sat down and he said to us, I was a 15-year-old coward. I murdered your son and I'm sorry. While in Felton, I said I had not to do a Christmas murder for the first 2 years. I went on a victim awareness course, and from that day to this, he said, I can't get Chris out of my head and out of my heart. And he kept on crying, didn't he?
Wasn't it wonderful to hear the truth? I can't tell you what it did for me personally. I can feel the emotion as I'm saying it, because I'm back in that room with him. But to hear it was the most amazing thing. And it was like we won the pulse. It was a bizarre feeling of relaxation, being able to rest in that. And then being able to tell him what it was really like for us and what it still is like for us. I could see his face. It was horrified. He was horrified.
He didn't know he had to wait 16 weeks.
He needed to hear that too, didn't he? To move on, and we needed it to move on.
Yeah, last May, this May just gone, we met the second boy. As he walked in the room, I just went like that, and he grabbed hold of me, he took all the wind out of myself, squeezed every bit of life out of me, and cried on my shoulder. All he kept saying was, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. People say these young men ain't remorseful. That's not remorse, I don't know what is. And then he sat down, and I've got to tell you, the first meeting was 3.5 hours. The second meeting was 4 hours. And we had questions, and he had questions, didn't he? We found out a lot about each other. In fact, in your booklets, you'll find a letter from Stephen that he wrote. We won't read now, but you can read it. This is one of the most powerful letters for restorative justice ever. Because what it does, restorative justice, it turns the monster into a human being. The monsters we thought turned out to be human, didn't they?
The animal that I thought he wasn't really true in front of me, was a human being, able to tell me how sorry, needing to say how sorry. Won't bring Chris back, won't change anything, but it will change all of our future. It made a big difference to us and made a big difference to him. Now he can move on. He said, restorative justice made me a human being again, gave me back my life. He said since, through his probation, that Ray and Vi, you gave me back my life, and I kind of think he gave us ours. That's what restorative justice did for us.
And we were going to meet the second boy in 2 days' time, but we got a phone call saying something's gone right at the moment.
The third boy, not the
the
second
third boy. And they wanted us to meet on the 23rd of December, so that's 2 days Christmas. So we're going to meet in January. They're working out a few days now to meet in January. So that's going to happen and all. All we wanted was the truth.
It took time. It took time through the mentoring process. It made me think about an awful lot of things, actually. One of the things during the first mentoring process was, what do you know about this young man? And it took me by surprise. I thought, oh my goodness, well, I know he's a lowlife because the police told me. Yeah, but what do you know about him?
About his family.
What do you know what he's done since? And I kind of thought, well, they've gone to prison, maybe they've not done much. But actually he'd done so much to better himself, to make it better for himself. He got educated. You see, you don't kind of think of those things. You think they're going to go in prison and that's it, and they're going to come out in 6 years, they're going to kill again. That's what you feel when you're a victim. But that's not really true, is it? I would never have known that. Ray would never have known that without restorative justice. It's an amazing thing, and it should take hold everywhere. It really should.
But the most important part of that meeting, everybody laughs when we say this, was the tea and biscuits afterwards.
Yeah.
Because there was more said over tea and biscuits than there was in the actual meeting, because your guard is down, and you become more what's the word? A relationship is formed between you, and it was real nice. That's when we got a lot more out of it. We learned, the second boy, we learned that he's got a girlfriend, they're having a baby. Well, they had the baby now, we know the baby's name, we know his wife's name, we bought a present for the baby, didn't we?
We did.
We got the first boy
Does that sound
job.
bizarre? If you'd told me 11 years ago, I'd have said you're quite crazy. But actually, now you're not crazy, nor am I. It's amazing. Now we can move on with all of that information. Isn't that got to be a good thing?
I want to tell you a story now. We just come back from Belfast. We've been 4 days say it's only for certain crimes. This young man, his brother, back in the Troubles, went and shot a Catholic in the head. Someone glanced at him, someone scribbled him up to the authorities. The British Army was waiting for him. As he got on his motorbike driving down the road, they shot him in the back. They shot him 3 times in the head. This young man, his mother died of a heart attack the next day. His brother took to alcohol and died of alcoholic poisoning. And he asked, could he meet the mother of the boy his brother killed? And they met. She told him she forgives him. It works for everything. It don't just work for housebreaking. If it can work in Belfast with them troubles, it can work anywhere.
Absolutely.